Hello, it's Two Girls, One Pod. I'm a girl. I'm a woman, actually. And you know, I have another girl with me. She is also a woman. Let me tell you a little bit about her. She's an actress, she's a singer, and she's a presenter. She's best known in Australia for her work on stage. I would say on stage.
Am I allowed to talk? I would say on stage too.
Can you guess that voice? Look, it comes straight up on your podcast on today's app. It's Lucy Durack. I never know how to introduce people.
That was a really nice introduction. Thank you.
The first thing that we said when we were walking in together was how awkward situations, like people have these awkward moments. I do awkward things all the time like that. Like I don't know how to introduce people properly.
But that's fine. I don't think it didn't actually feel like you weren't. It felt like you were doing a good job. So that's
thanks.
just your version in your mind of what that is.
Yeah.
Yeah. My husband Chris always he has awkward situations too, and he always in his head plays the Curb Your Enthusiasm music.
So do I. Me too. And I never even watched Curb Your Own Enthusiasm, but I love that music.
Yeah.
When people do that on TikToks and it goes so well.
So well.
Talking of your husband, he's very talented in his own right.
Yes, he is.
And he was in Bootman.
Yes, he was.
I remember him a lot in that because he was such a good dad. Like they all were. But you know, you always...
Yes.
I don't know.
Look, I mean, I'm very biased.
But yeah, how did you two meet?
We met in 2005. It wasn't a romantic encounter, but we met doing a workshop of a musical.
Okay.
He was the choreographer and I was in it, and it was our good friend Matthew Robinson wrote this musical and we did a 2-week workshop of it, but it was just a 5-hander and there wasn't much dancing, so we didn't work much together, but I remember I'd heard of Chris Horsey. I'd been in the musical theatre land for a few years and I knew he'd choreographed a few things I was auditioning for, which I didn't get. And but I hadn't met him yet.
Marry him.
And I knew he was a bit older than me. And but when I met him, I was like, oh, he's handsome. I hadn't factored that in. And and then 2 years later, it's a bit of a long story, I guess. So that year we worked together. He then moved to London for a year. Then the year after that, we were both at the Opera Bar in Sydney for different functions, and we bumped into each other and we were like, oh, hi. And we're like a bit flirty.
Yes.
Like, hi. My girlfriends and I are going to Soho and King's Cross. Do you want to come? And he was like, maybe I will. I was like, maybe you should. We went to Soho. No sign of him for ages. And then my girlfriends and I were like, come on, let's just go home. And as we're walking out, my phone rings and it's him going, oh, I'm in the line. Like, I can't seem to get in. And he's like, I used to come here all the time. He was all embarrassed he couldn't get in. And so I was like, quick, girls, go back inside. So we went back in, but it was super noisy. And so we did all of that like, oh, yeah. So what? Like, could not hear what he was saying. Anyway, he walked. In the end, I said, look, my girlfriends and I were about to leave. I've got to go. So he walked me out and he was like, I gave him my number and we're like, maybe I'll see you again. And he was like, maybe you will. Kiss me on the lips, just a peck.
Yeah.
Didn't hear from him for like a year.
A year?
Yep. Then a year later, I had been cast in 42nd Street, the tap dancing musical, and I am not really a dancer. Mm-hmm. I've done a lot of dance classes. It's not what I'm known for. I'm a smart mover at best. And I had been cast as Peggy Sawyer, who's a really good tap dancer. And I'd done tap for a few years, but Chris Horsey his mum had a dance school. He's tapped his whole life. He was in Tap Dogs, Hot Shoe Shuffle, Bootman.
Yeah.
Like he's like a legitimate Amazing. He won the Fred Astaire Tap Dancing Award in New York as an 11-year-old. Like, crazy good tap dancer. So I was really nervous. I knew he was going to be in it. I knew he was in the original 42nd Street because my first CD I ever bought was the Australian cast recording of 42nd Street as an 11-year-old.
No.
Yes. And I used to practice. I had a pair of tap shoes and I'd like practice out on our paving out the back, and I ruined my first pair of tap shoes, made them almost knives just from practicing so hard out there, pretending I was all of the roles. And I'd turn on our outside lights, and we had like French doors, and with the outside lights made that a mirror, so I would just practice outside for hours. Anyway, so I knew 42nd Street incredibly well. Was very, very nervous. I spent way more than I was ever going to earn on this show on tap dancing lessons. So I got cast in February. It was in October. I just worked so hard I was touring with a little show, picked up tap teachers in every state, including Todd McKenny's mum. Peter Norton came out of retirement to teach me tap. I hired a car and I drive down. I was in Brisbane for 5 months, drive to the Gold Coast a couple of times a week and learn with her. And I travelled around with this piece of masonite, so I tapped everywhere I went. Anyway, I was so nervous. Come August, it was the Helpman Awards. We met at the party after the Helpman Awards and I'd presented an award, so my hair was in a sort of style, like a 40 style hairdo. And this guy came up just as Chris and I were like, awkward situation again, Yvie.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you didn't call me a year ago.
Yes. Yes.
This other guy came up who was a bit drunk and he was like, wow, your hair looks so cool. It looks like you're from the 40s. And I was like, thanks. And Chris goes, that guy was so rude to you. He just said you looked 40. I was 24. And I was like, what? Like, no, I don't look 40. I'm 24. Like, what? And he was like, anyway, here we're doing 42nd Street together. I said, yeah, I'm so nervous. He goes, oh, well, don't do it then. And I was like, what? Like, I have worked I'm going to do it. Anyway, I walked away and I was with my friend Matthew Robinson who'd written the musical in the first place. And I was like, if there's one person I'm going to avoid during 42nd Street is Chris Horsey. He's bad news.
It's just like a meet cute.
Then we started the following month. I positioned myself on the opposite side of the circle when we did the meet and greet. Just don't go near that guy. He's bad news. And then in the afternoon, the choreographer had said, Chris knows some of the original choreography and we're going to do a bit of that. Why don't you take him to the next room and see what she can do? And I fell in love with him that afternoon.
That afternoon?
Yeah.
Did he?
I think his was more of a slow burn, but I think he liked me straight away. We sort of were a bit flirty and then it was a really short run. It was always going to be a short run. It was with the production company. And the day after we had our closing party, he'd lent me his gloves at the party, but nothing had happened. And I thought, oh, well, that's okay. It's just nice to feel these feelings again for somebody. And then I messaged him saying, I've got your gloves. Do you want me to send them to you in the post? And he was like, how about we have a cheeky drink? And we've been together ever since.
Oh, my God.
That was 16
is a
years
cute
ago.
story. Meet cute.
So I told you the long version. Sorry, I was going to tell you the short version.
You just told us all the story, which is great. You're a good talker. I like that. What? Did you ever show him the original choreography from your backyard?
I haven't yet.
You should.
You know, sometimes you think, oh, he knows everything about me. No, Yvie. Now I've got that.
Yeah, you need to get those shoes. Well, just get the plates like knives out and pop them on your shoes now and go, get me a French door. I'm about to show you something that you've never seen before, and that would be good.
Okay, I will.
And you have a child?
We have two.
Two?
We have Polly, who's 8. I
don't know why I only thought you had one.
And Teddy, who is 4. Look, there was a 4-year gap. So
yeah, okay. So Polly and Teddy.
Yeah.
Great names.
Thank you.
Theodore or just Teddy?
Theodore.
Oh, and just Polly?
Yeah, she's just Polly.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. I just met a dog in the park called Penelope and his owner calls her Poop. And I just thought that was the cutest thing in the world. If I had a child, I'd call them just Poop.
Poop. I actually think Penelope is a lovely name. I've never met a Penny who's not really friendly.
Neither.
Pennies are great people.
They really are. It's a great name.
It's a great name.
But Polly is a very good name as well.
Yeah, thanks.
I like it.
Thank you.
Yep. It's good. Okay, let me ask you this. I've got to stop saying ask because some people actually do say it for real, and that's okay.
Teddy, actually, who's 4, says that.
Oh, my God.
It's very cute. It's one of those things. Every now and again you think, I should tell him. But it's just so cute. Let's just hold on to that.
Do you have a favourite child?
I don't, no. It depends on, I do, depending on the day. Like whoever's being the best.
Okay. But you really do, don't you?
Well,
you don't say who it is.
It definitely... and it shifts really evenly. Like, it's really bizarre.
Throughout
like a pendulum. You think, oh, God, they're doing so good. Oh, now they're being a bit annoying. They're doing so good. Oh, now they're being a bit annoying. But they're so sweet. Oh, now they're a bit annoying.
Are they into dancing?
Yes, they are.
Oh, and singing?
Yes. My husband Chris has a dance studio. Yes. So Polly learns there. It's called Accelerate Arts and it's in South Melbourne. And Polly does tap, and she's actually a really good tap dancer. I mean, I guess
is he a bit
biased
in as far as teaching her goes?
Well, she
learns from
and
someone
another
else.
Little girl. They have been there the longest, and the two of them are the best because they're really dedicated. And then it's grown. They've got many more people now.
That's
but they've just been doing it the longest. They just love it. It's so sweet. And Teddy doesn't do any classes yet, but he does. This morning he was doing for me his silly dance, and he was doing little, like, his hands were doing little, like, pincer grip.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was saying,
like
that's cool.
Mermaid.
He goes, I just love doing the pinchy bit, Mum. And I was like, you're good at it.
He's like Sebastian from Little Mermaid.
Exactly. I feel a bit bad that I said they were annoying because they actually are the lights of my lives.
Yeah, and they're annoying. They're humans. Humans can be so annoying.
I'm so annoying.
We are so annoying. But children are hilarious.
They are adorable.
And I do like little. I just love chatting with kids like they're not kids.
Yeah.
They get right into conversations if you don't treat them like they're stupid.
Totally.
And they will just, I used to be a nanny, and I just thought it was the funniest thing to just talk to kids, because I was never a craft nanny. Like I can't stand anything they have to put. Hated Play-Doh, and I hated all that kind of stuff. I was more of a let's talk, let's sing, let's dance. Like let's just watch not adult movies.
Yeah, but movies that, there's so many good kids movies that have got a million layers for everybody watching.
Yeah, nowadays, Otherwise I just make them watch, like, Days of Our Lives or something. But no, and then, just chatting with them, and they get really, really into that you're listening to them.
Yes. Oh, Polly loves the D&M. Ever since she started talking really early, and she just would love, from about 1.5, she'd love a D&M. And I remember when she was about 3, my granddad was still alive and was in his 90s, and my mum, Granny, was around, and she was talking about her dad, my granddad, and Polly said, how old is granddad? And Mum said, he's 90 something. And Polly goes, wow, he should so be dead by now.
He should. I mean, really. Well, and he is now, Polly.
Yeah.
Sorry. But out of the mouths of babes.
That's it.
I love all that stuff.
Yeah.
I love what children say. Do you remember there used to be a show with, ours was Cosby, what the kids say the darndest things, but there was an English version of it, and it had a really funny, who didn't end up raping anyone.
You. What a relief these days.
But he was just like, he would really let the kids shine.
Yes.
And the best part about the English version is the amount of different accents you've got through England. Totally. So you've got like the Northern Leeds or Liverpool kids, and then you've got like the East Londoners, and oh my God, it was so, because they're just tiny little, like, and they're always dobbing in their parents for doing something really rude or, gross or illegal.
Yes.
So, back in the day, that was hilarious.
Oh my gosh. There's a series that's also British, I think it's like claymation or stop motion. I think it's the same people or it looks like the same people who make Shaun the Sheep and those sorts of shows, called Creature Comforts.
Yes. Oh God, I love it.
And that's all those cute accents too, but has little animals, and so sweet.
Now, TV, stage, which one is for you?
I love them both, and I like them.
This is another child question, isn't it?
But I again, both with children and with those things, it
changes,
shifts.
yeah.
And I like the variety.
Yeah.
I prefer to have a year where I do a bit of a musical, and then I'll do some television or film, and
they're
do some.
So different.
It's so different.
Like you do TV and you do takes, but you do stage, and it is just over and over and over the same thing. If you'd go for years, like, what's your longest run on a show?
Over a few stints, I played Glinda the Good Witch in Wicked for 1,300 performances. So I started and I did. It was over about 4.5 years. So I did the original Australian tour. And
you were my Glinda.
I was your Glinda.
Yeah,
Thanks.
The first time I ever saw. Well, I've only ever seen it once, but and I can't wait to see it again.
Yes. Oh, they do such a good job. I've just recently seen the new cast.
Yeah, how is it?
They're beautiful.
Is it any different, or is it exactly the same?
The show itself is exactly the same. The script is exactly the same. The sets, the costumes, the lighting, everything is the same. But because they're different people, they're giving it different takes, and they're young. The two girls playing Elphaba and Glinda are the age that we were when we played them, which is sort of mid-20s.
Yeah.
But mid-20s people these days, they've had a really different. So Courtney Monsma, who's playing Glinda now, I thought she was like TikTok Glinda, because she's really cool, and she herself as a person is really great on that sort of social media platform, and so she brings that to her Glinda, which is just gorgeous.
Oh yeah,
it's really fun.
So the reason I ask whether it was the same or not, because I just saw Moulin Rouge, and it's different.
Yes, to the film.
To the film,
it is.
And and I'm assuming it's different to when they first maybe made the musical, because there's some songs that are quite new.
Right. I haven't seen it recently. I saw it when it first opened in Melbourne. But it was obviously pretty different to the film in a lot of ways.
The same story but different songs now. And
so many songs. I don't know how they do it with their licensing, because it's just hit after hit. It's a similar thing to watching Anne Juliet, but Anne Juliet is all Max Martin, so I can imagine
that's what
that's why they're allowed to do that. But with Moulin Rouge, you think it's just heaps of different.
I know, like how do you get a Rolling Stones and a Beatles and a Katy Perry's in there now. She wasn't in the movie, any of her songs, but anyway. So how did it feel watching like you and Amanda watched it, Amanda Harris, and you were both our originals.
Yes.
Like, I just loved, can I tell you a story about
Please.
Wicked? Okay, when did it come out?
We opened in 2008.
Yeah, okay. I had just moved back to Sydney from Melbourne.
Yes.
And I was living in Darlinghurst.
Okay, yes.
So I went to see it I was a nanny, so I went to see it with the children, the twins that I was nannying. And we were, like, we lost collectively trio brains. Like, we just loved it so much. I could not believe that we were seeing something that was so innovative because we loved, like, we used to read the original book, and that's very different to the movie of Wizard of Oz.
Yes.
And much darker.
Much darker.
So we were all like, all we ever did was put on Wicked in the car and, the Broadway soundtrack and everything. Anyway, so we just loved it. But I loved that I could be in it as much and look like I was just being a nanny, but I wasn't. I went out one night. I'm not lying. A bar on Crown Street.
Yeah.
And I said to the group of friends that I was in, I saw the best show today. And they went, what was it? I went, Wicked. And they went, oh, yeah, is it good? I'm not really into that kind of thing. And I went, well, if you're not going to see it, I just need to tell you all something. I sat for 2 hours and I told them as I was getting drunker and drunker, I'm telling them the entire plot, right? And how clever it was to paint Elphaba in this behind the scenes. And I mean, I don't want to ruin it. So if you just go forward about maybe a minute, just, the part where he goes through the floor.
Yes.
Okay. That blew my mind. Like, just the way I want to see a movie made with the two, with Wizard of Oz and Wicked next to each other, and what was really happening on the other side while the witch was burning, just all of it. And then because I cried so much knowing that she had gone and ended up with who she ended up with.
Yes.
I'm getting goosebumps again.
It's so clever. It really is.
It's so clever.
Like, I have seen it I've seen it 1,300 times from a very close-up position, but I've seen it a handful of times outside of that. The first time I saw it was in London with our Australian Helen Dallimore playing Glinda and Adam Garcia playing Fiyero and Adina Menzel, the original Elphaba, playing Elphaba. And that just blew my mind. Like, it was the greatest theatrical experience of my life.
Adina.
It was incredible.
Adina Menzel.
Yeah, Dazeem. Adele Dazeem.
That would have been incredible.
It was incredible. And then I saw it a couple of times in London at different times and a couple of times in America at different times. But watching it again, I've seen it so many times, it was astounding to me. I just thought that is an incredible show. I just love it.
I mean, the original, the movie is such a great, wonderful story, but someone... Who wrote it?
Yes, so Winnie Holtzman wrote the story. Stephen Schwartz wrote the music.
Okay.
Stephen Schwartz apparently was on a boat, and somebody told him that because it's based on a novel by Gregory Maguire called Wicked.
Okay.
But again,
I did not know that.
The same with Wizard of Oz, the book of Wicked is a lot darker than the musical of Wicked.
Yes.
But somebody was telling Stephen Schwartz about this book and the take on the two witches, and is the Green Witch wicked or is she misunderstood? And he was like, God, this would make an incredible musical. And that's how he heard about it, just from hearing about the story, and from there Wicked was born.
We are where we are today with it. It is such an incredible show, like such a great show.
Yeah, it is.
when they have to go green,
Yes.
what is that? Paint, like that can't be fun.
Yeah, so Amanda played Elphaba for the first sort of year or so, a couple of years maybe, and then my friend Gemma Ricks was her alternate, so she'd go on, and Gem ended up playing Elphaba about the same amount of times I played Glinda, but over a longer period of time because she started out doing only a few shows a week. And then Gemma and I also ended up playing Glinda and the Wicked Witch in The Wizard of Oz. And
oh yeah,
and in the middle of that we also did another season of Wicked. And I think Gemma is happy to never ever be green again because she'd have green in her ears
you'd
and
find in crevices.
And they always have to have green nails, and so then they
but
paint
it's
their
only
nails
the
green.
hands, isn't it?
It's
like
the hands,
of the
the
whole,
neck,
it's
and the
very
face.
So it's a lot, but it's not a lot.
No, but
That's
even
good.
that, like I played Princess Fiona in Shrek, who also gets green. It's a very quick process, whereas the Elphaba process that's her makeup, obviously, and they do such a beautiful job of shading it with purples and glitter and all sorts of charcoals and stuff. But yeah, Princess Fiona, because it happens quickly in situ, it was like a 2-minute job with a big goat brush. And
Oh, okay.
but even that was really hard to get out. And because I dye my hair blonde, every time once I went to the hairdresser, and this woman said to me, do you swim a lot?
Swim, yeah.
And I was like, no.
Chlorine.
She thought I had chlorine hair.
Remember
but it
the
was
kids
not that.
that used to have too much chlorine in the pool?
Doesn't happen anymore. I feel like
No, doesn't happen anymore.
Does it?
Because people mostly use salt in their pools these days, but chlorine is a lot of a cheaper option. So
see.
those kids would get paid out on a lot when we were kids because, you know,
But
they
I
had
feel
green
like
hair.
in my childhood, that was everyone. We all just had green hair.
Had green hair, yes. But
Anyone who had
I
some
didn't because we
fairish
didn't have a pool. And I swear to God, I always felt so ripped off.
Did you?
Yeah.
Not having a pool.
Not having a pool.
Yeah.
You only rich kids had pools when I was growing, where I grew up.
We had a pool, but only from when I was a bit older. We got one put in because we built on our house, sort of renovated our house. My granddad, who we talked about before, who was just the greatest guy ever, who my son is actually named after. His name was Lindsay, so Teddy's Theodore Lindsay. And he was an architect and a draftsman, and he designed our house so we could afford to build it into the big family home that is today. It was a 70s sort of flat tin roof house, and we built on in 3 different sections, so we could, apart from one section, we could live in it. So when I was doing year 12, I've got 2 younger sisters. The 3 of us lived in our living room for like the whole year.
Yeah. We lived in our living room.
It was awesome. We were in
My
bunk
dad
beds.
was, we were
super.
always renovating. Like
Same.
Never, ever really finished. Like there
Do
was
you
always
love the
something.
smell of fresh paint?
No, I hate it all.
Do you?
Like, because it was so annoying.
Right.
It was all boys, so and me, like, so we were always shoved in. But I did love that when we were a lot younger, we all had to kind of live in a living room. Like, I liked that, and then it became more, don't talk to me. I need my own space, you know. And I was not that person. I did never need my own space. Like, I hated that I was always just like annoying someone, going, let's talk, let's do you want to make a song together, dance or something? And all the boys would be like, no.
You should have come to my family.
I know.
We would have loved that.
Now, when you did Masked Singer, which, oh my God, it is such a great show. I
love that show too.
There isn't anyone who I don't know who wouldn't want to be on that show, especially if you have children.
And we'd already watched, when I went on it, it had 1 season already, and we had watched the whole season and just loved it. I watch every season, like
so your
religiously.
Kids so a couple of years ago now, like
so
maybe
Polly,
2?
Yeah, Polly was 4,
Right.
5 maybe. She was at kindy.
So
I
Teddy
didn't
wouldn't
tell
have.
her.
No.
Teddy was a baby. And I didn't tell Paul because I was worried that she'd get to kindy and tell everybody.
Yeah.
And they're so careful about people not knowing and whatnot. So.
It's hilarious. But the funniest thing is all your clues were, like, I remember Leon Schrogen, who is the EP of Fifi Fev, and at the time Byron, and he just guesses. He knows.
He just knows.
He's very, very good with the smarts like that.
Yes.
And he was the first one on Twitter to kind of go, I know exactly who this is. But you, like, come from royalty, and was that right? Like, am I getting that right?
From, like, pioneering family.
Yes.
So our family were the first family to settle in WA, in the Kimberley region. So Yeah.
Wow.
And they were like, they took 3 years to trek across the top of the country, and they lost, and they took hundreds of cattle and lost hundreds of cattle and lost family members, and it was a treacherous time. But then they settled in the Kimberley region.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's. Gosh, you've got it. Yeah. You're so
I
good
just
that you
remember that and thinking, I did not know
Clues-
that about this
I find
woman.
the clues so bizarre because they're so abstract.
Yeah, they have to be,
Yeah,
don't
they're
they?
so great.
Are you watching this season?
Yeah.
How good is it?
I have not missed an episode. I
And
love
Courtney
it so much.
the other night.
Oh, so good.
She's so, like, she's the, like they said, the funniest mask they've ever had.
We were watching Courtney, and Polly knows Courtney a bit because we both, like, not knows, but we're both, Shane and I both represented by Wendy, the same amazing woman, Wendy Richards. And so Polly was like, I think that's Courtney Act. She goes, I think that's Courtney Act. And Teddy goes, yeah, me too. Or maybe it's just an actual cow.
Maybe.
Maybe, Teddy.
Maybe. Imagine if it came out and there was a cow underneath. Everyone, Teddy would go, hey.
I think he just thinks
You're
that's what a
doubted
cow
me.
looks like.
Yes.
This very glamorous cow.
Oh, my God. It's so weird because the voices, once you know them, it's like immediately you know who they are and you kind of, going along for the ride. But I know people who get, bitter inside knowledge, which I don't believe you, but they're always right, so they must be getting it somewhere. But I'm like, do not tell me.
Yeah.
I don't want that ruined.
No, me
I
either.
love
That's why I think don't go
guessing
on
who it is.
Don't read the comments
No.
on social media because people are great at guessing it.
Yeah, but
and
it's
I don't want that. I want
wanna
to be
listen.
like, ooh, who is that?
Maybe
Maybe it is a cow.
I always have to watch it twice because the first time I have to just listen and I can't watch because it's performative and it's like, and it's not normally a human. So it's like, a Grim Reaper
Yes.
or, a robot or something. But then I watch it. So I can watch the fun of it all. But the first time I have to just listen.
I
And
think
it's
I'm terrible
incredible.
at guessing. Are you good at guessing?
I'm really good,
Yeah.
but I think I have a very good ear for people's singing voices, especially if they're professional. Can we talk about Hey Lemonade?
Love to. That is my future.
Okay. Tell me what it is. Where did it? I do know a bit, but you tell me and everyone.
Okay, so Hey Lemonade is an evidence-based pep talk app, essentially. It's my co-founder and good friend, Elise McCann, and I started it in a small way in 2020. It was very much a silver lining of COVID. Elise was in New York and she was working for Sarah Jessica Parker's company, and she had to
What's her
come home.
company called?
Pretty Matches.
Oh my
And Elise
goodness.
is an incredible human being. She is so smart. She did a law degree whilst she was doing Fiddler on the Roof. She's just one of those. She's an amazing
Same.
musical theatre person. She's an amazing she's currently playing Donna in Mamma Mia. She played Miss Honey in
right.
Matilda. So she's an amazing musical theatre performer, but she's also, her brain is incredible. She's so clever. And
We just went and saw her, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yes, we just
I've
went.
I've just seen her too. Isn't
Incredible.
she amazing? So good. And it's like effortless for her to also sing all
Right,
this.
so she's
and ABBA
the
is
other-
hard. It's hard music. I'm talking about music.
Oh, so hard to sing.
So hard. So Elise and I have been friends for a really long time, and Elise and I both produced a little bit for screen, and Elise has also produced some stuff for stage. And we have been trying to find something to work on together. Anyhow, we both had found ourselves on the apps. She was finding life a bit stressful. She'd come home from New York because her mum was going through cancer treatment, and she's passed with flying colours. She's done super well. So Yvonne is doing really, really well. And I had been playing Princess Fiona in Shrek, and of course the entertainment industry just came to a screaming halt everywhere.
Screeching halt.
And Chris, of course, and I both work in the entertainment industry. And Teddy was little. He wasn't even a year old, and we were like, goodness, how are we going to make ends meet? It was really stressful. And Elise and I had gone for a walk, and we were like, oh, I'm doing this Deepak Chopra 21 Days of Abundance. So am I. Oh my gosh, we're chatting about it. And I said, oh yeah, I feel like I'm not really doing it right. I'm often changing a nappy, or I'm vacuuming with my AirPods in, and I feel like I'm not doing it right. And I'm finding it hard. I love Deepak's voice, but I also listen to Headspace and a few different meditation apps, but I don't always love the voice that they're offered in. And on that day, some days I do. And I just don't have the time. Like some of them are longish sessions. And she was like, oh, yeah, I feel like that too. And I was chatting to my sister, and she was like, oh, meditation. I don't do meditation. It's almost triggered by the word. And Elise and I had chatted about that too. And we'd gone for this walk, and we'd had a chat, and we were like, oh, I feel so much better. See, this is all you need. You just need like a quick chat with a friend to nip a small stress in the bud before you spiral out of control and before it becomes bigger. And we were like, surely this exists. Surely there is just a pep talk app that is just pragmatic and advice and scientifically sound advice, and it didn't exist. We looked globally, and so we were like, let's make it. Unfortunately, we were that naive that we were like, let's just do it, and we did not realize what an enormous journey we're about to embark on. And we ended up launching. So then we started working. It started as a side hustle. It's very much become a full-time job, and we have a small team now of people who work on it with us, and we have a tech team, and we have marketing people, and we have it's been really great. And we launched at the end of last year, and so it's short 3 to 4 minute talks.
Yeah,
they're all evidence-based. We have they're all written by award-winning Australian writers, but they're all overseen by a team of psychologists. And then we tested it with the CSIRO before we launched it, because we were like, there's no point doing this if it's not actually useful.
Yeah.
And the testing went really well. So there was a group that didn't have the app and a group that did have the app. And the group that did have the app listened over a 4-week period and found at the end of the 4 weeks they were 50% calmer. And they had a significant increase in their feelings of positive energy and vitality, and a significant decrease in their perception of daily hassles.
Wow.
And they felt self-efficacy and their coping mechanisms had also increased. And so we were thrilled.
That must be very exciting.
We all
to
cried
get that.
when we got that. We were like, oh my goodness, we've been
too.
working so hard.
Yeah.
And it works. And all of the talks are offered in at least 3 different voices, so you can choose how you hear your pep talk.
I love that. It's like Siri.
Yeah, it's exactly.
Yep.
But we have people that you know and love as well. So we have Tony Armstrong and Maggie Beer and Jamila
I
Rizvi,
love
Zinzia
Maggie's
Kenya.
voice.
Oh, it is beautiful.
I would listen to everything with Maggie's voice.
She's so beautiful. And we have a whole range of different
Who did you say
people.
after Maggie?
Tony Armstrong.
Tony, I love Tony.
His voice is delightful, Tony. He's just such a great person. And Jamila Rizvi voices some.
I love Jamila.
And Zinzia Kenyo and Zoe Tarakis. And Zoe Tarakis has written. We then ended up getting a grant from the New South Wales government.
Yeah.
To make a high school version of the app.
Oh,
so we've
great.
just finished making the first iteration of that, and we did a bunch of focus groups with students, because now we are quite far away ourselves from being high school students.
Yeah, and Zoe would be more back
And
in
Zoe
that.
was
close to the
and
age.
They have written some absolutely beautiful talks like gender dysphoria and body hair, the shame, and all these really amazing talks. And similarly, we have a beautiful writer from South Australia called Jamila Main, who wrote a beautiful Boost Your Disability Pride pep. So we're really trying to make sure eventually we now have hundreds of talks in the app, in both apps, and we really want it to be
just both apps. What does that mean?
So we have the Call app, the main Hey Lemonade app,
Yes.
which we had started with.
Yep.
And that is for adults. It's in the app stores, and
Okay, and
you
you
can
were
just buy that.
Not listening. properly.
No, that's
the child,
fine.
the teens
So
one.
and then we have the teen app, which isn't currently available to the public because it's
Okay.
just being tested with
Yep.
15 schools, the
Yeah,
9 and 10
you're doing
cohorts.
it properly, just
Yeah.
like you did with the other one.
Exactly.
Oh, I'm so impressed.
So it's been a massive journey and
Wow.
really it's been really enjoyable,
Yeah.
really hard work, and I've learnt so much, but I feel very grateful to have such an amazing team around us, and particularly to be partnered with Elise, who's so amazing, and she just knows things. She
Yeah.
just knows how things go, and she also is able to multitask like no one I've ever met. It's
Wow.
incredible. She's such a hard worker.
That's so inspiring. Like, it's such a wonderful thing to come from a time in so many people's lives that was so difficult that you found, this little nugget of gold, and you've really mined it very well. You've done it properly.
Yeah.
That's what I'm really impressed with, is how that you've gone through the research and you made sure the studies were done and you got results and you cried over them, and it makes me very happy for
so
you.
happy. Thank
because
you,
a
Yvie.
lot of people do apps for the money.
Yeah.
And they're just like, how can I make myself really rich and in 5 years sell an app for $6 billion?
Yeah, which is just, let me tell you, not going to happen.
It might happen, but it's not what you're in it for.
And it's not. Well, we were just so excited when we made the main core app that is in the App Store, because we were like, we did it. Regardless of, it is expensive to make the content as well, because we have these amazing writers like Wesley Enoch and Marique Hardy and Michelle Law and Ben Law and
I love
Amy
all of those
Tunig,
people.
amazing people, so many. That's only not even half of the writers. We have an incredible team of writers, and from all different backgrounds as well. So hopefully people will eventually go to the app, and when you search something into Google and it comes up as something and you think, oh, well, that exists, so I'm not alone. Somebody else has felt that before, and that's what we
Yes.
really want to give, because that's what we needed for ourselves. And yeah, so hopefully that's what we'll.
So Hey Lemonade is what it's called, and people can download that in their app store on all their
and we
phones.
have a bunch of free talks as well, so you can just download it and listen to the free talks. We have things like a 3 p.m. freshen up, I think is one of our free talks at the moment. Permission slip to let myself rest, which Ben Law wrote, which is so nice because none of us ever let ourselves rest.
Yeah, I do, but a lot of people don't.
Good on you, Yvie.
I have to give permission to not rest, get up and go. But I know so many of my friends who do not let themselves rest, and it is, especially mums.
Yeah.
And it is so detrimental to their well-being that that's a really good one because it's so needed. It's needed. Just that reminder.
That's it.
Just to how important it is. I had a friend once say to me, I've got to do something with my day tomorrow. And I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, I've got a day off, but I've got nothing on. I'm like, you've got something on. You've got nothing to do. That's
lovely.
Wonderful. And he goes, I would never. And I said, you need to embrace that going and doing, just sleep all day if you want. He goes, oh my God, what a waste of a day. And I went, it can't be a waste of a day if it's lovely.
That's
if
it.
something is lovely, then how can that be bad?
Plus, even if you want to hijack your need to, and I'm totally, I think this might have been something that Ben wrote, even if you're hijacking your need to be productive, rest is productive. Because
so
if you
productive.
don't rest, you can't actually be productive. So you're actually being
Exactly.
productive for future you by resting.
Exactly.
But I'm terrible at resting, so having said that, so that's
Yeah,
why
mums
I need
normally,
that sort of
and
thing.
yeah. I mean, it's what, even if you haven't become a mum, but if you're a working mum,
Or if you work in anything, if you're a carer or if you have any sort of job, it's hard to rest, and we really are geared against resting, which is a shame. But yeah, that's why it's good. But the app has lots of different talks for different situations. So if you're feeling
that's so
lonely or
good.
you can't stop crying, Susie Youssef wrote this beautiful,
I love Susie.
beautiful talk, and it's called
that's
when you can't stop crying, and it just says, I'm just going to sit here with you and just breathe, and it's beautiful.
Wow, I love that.
It's great.
Because
It's really nice.
I
talks.
love. Well, congratulations! I think that's wonderful, and I only see good things with that coming.
Thank you.
And I'm going to download it.
Oh, please do. That would be lovely.
Thank you so much for coming in and spending an hour with me and just telling me about things that are wonderful to hear.
Thank you for asking so many nice questions. It's been a delight. I love chatting to you.
I'm going to see you at Le Cage aux Folies.
Yes.
Say it.
Look, I don't know if this is right. I'd say Le Cage aux Folles.
Le Cage aux Folles. I say Le Cage Follies.
I like it, but I think most people just go Le Cage because we're all a bit worried about what's going to come next and whether it's right. It's the same with like Les Mis. Let's just say Les Mis.
Yes.
Let's not worry about the rest of it. Just
Les Miserables. That's the show that's up and coming, and everyone's in it.
Yeah, isn't it fantastic? Deborah Byrne. I can't wait to see her on stage.
I can't wait to see Deborah Byrne again.
She's amazing.
Just so good. But Genevieve Morris is in it, and she's a friend of mine. So
love her.
I'm making sure I'm going. So
Michael
I was.
Cormick. Yeah, you're right. Everybody's in it.
Everyone's Peter Phelps.
What?
Peter Phelps is in it.
That's so exciting.
I got the shock of my life when I saw him. I thought it was John Howard, not the Prime Minister, the actor.
The actor John Howard
Yeah.
from Blue Heelers.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because he was just in the newsreader.
How good is the newsreader?
It's the best. And your husband choreographed
He
the best
did.
thing in that entire show.
So Michael Lucas, who makes the newsreader, is a dear friend of ours, and Chris actually choreographed Michael and his husband Adrian's wedding dance.
Really?
And so Michael was
Said-
like, anytime he needs some choreography, he gets Chris in. So Chris has choreographed a bit for 5 Bedrooms, which Michael also makes. But the biggest thing was Chris, like choreography of the 80s, and they wanted like a Tony Bartuccio number.
Tony Bartuccio dances.
And we just love Tony Bartuccio.
Was everything. Like that was the 80s. And what I loved about the newsreader so much is that it has the real events in it. So I could really go with I could actually find old journals of the dates.
Wow.
Because it says, September 7th, 1987. I could go and just open up a book and go, okay, this is what I was doing on that day because I was 14. I was in year 9 at school and I was, constantly writing in a stupid journal about my sad life. Oh, my God, it's so melodramatic. But I remember all of the events that have happened in the show. So watching that guy do kind of the Don Lane-esque. That's who he was to me. I'm not sure who he was based on, but I'm thinking Don Lane, Mike Walsh, Bert Newton kind of thing, to see the dancers come out I was like, Tony Bertuccio. And then it was.
Yeah.
I was like, this was everything in the 80s.
Everything.
But still we'd laugh at them. Like we would
yeah,
because we couldn't dance.
Yeah, right.
So, you know.
And I loved how it was,
Australia.
I mean, and I'm obviously very biased anyway because I love Chris's choreography, but he sort of didn't overdo it. He did it exactly how they did choreograph things in the 80s, which has had that sort of beautiful simplicity to it as well that I just loved.
Yes.
Yeah, I just loved it.
It was just, and it was all new, that kind of dancing. Like it just hadn't, the 80s was so brand new. It was like, you know, every 2 decades is the same as 2 decades ago. Like, so the 80s should have been more like the 60s. But that didn't happen. Like the 70s was, you know, disco and everything, and the 80s was electric.
Yeah.
So, you know, electric boogaloo and break dancing and all that kind of thing. It was just brand new.
Brilliant.
Anyway, thank you.
Thank you very
so
much for having me.
For being here. I adore you.
Anytime.
Two Girls, One Pod. That was Lucy Durack. Is she not divine? Go and download her app, Hey Lemonade, because I can't wait to just listen in. I'm going to listen to all the different kind of voices that it's been done in. If you liked this episode, or if you just like this podcast, please rate, review, subscribe. 5 stars only. Send me an email. Well, it'll go to my producer, beautiful Rach. It's at 2girls@novapodcast.com.au, or slide into my DMs. Send me a dick pic. And by dick, I mean like a bird, not an actual. Oh, if you want, I don't care. Bye.